is Jen. I am the co-owner, co-founder of LaunchBox Collective here in Fort Worth, Texas. And today I am joined by the most amazing Shelby Tolar. And she is the founder owner of Love to Mama Postpartum Workshop. Shelby, tell us a
Yes.
little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. First and foremost, I'm a mom, which is kind of why I started this business in the first place. I had my kids first, actually, before becoming Love to Mama, but they were definitely my inspiration for just giving hope to new parents, and that's really how this all started. Yeah.
So you said hope to new parents. This workshop, from my understanding, is a postpartum workshop. Do you have to be a mom to come to this?
No, you really don't. I have had some really great feedback for people that were trying to conceive.
Uh-huh.
And that was not at first, that wasn't a perspective I had because it took us about a year to get pregnant with our first, which isn't a long time, but for someone who's waiting, it felt forever. And I just didn't think that people that were trying to conceive would want to be in a room full of expecting or new
Mm.
parents. And then I actually had someone tell me that they were coming as they were trying to conceive, and it was really a special event for them, and they learned so much and felt so prepared. So I was like, okay, let's add that. So no, you don't have to be pregnant. You can be just interested in
Mhm.
learning and wanting to connect with local providers. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that makes so much sense. Like when you think about um, wanting to start a family or wanting to expand your
Yeah.
family, there are so many things that people don't really tell you, or it's so difficult to really know what to expect
Yes.
when it comes to the process. And even just being in the process, even for a number of years, sometimes you might not have had the tools or the knowledge or even the support system.
Yeah.
Um, to learn how to do that successfully.
So for this workshop specifically, we want newborns. We want babies under 5 months. Once
Mhm.
they hit 6 months, they are wiggly. And so we have found the sweet spot. But not everybody has opportunities to have that education or that
Mhm.
empowerment. And so it is not too late if you already have the baby, because you're still going to need to find a pediatrician, or you may be having marital problems and you need to have
Mm.
a therapist. Like there's so many avenues. Postpartum is not right after the baby, it can last for a long time. And so we try to cater to parents in their first year. So,
Mhm.
including like starting solids and just a lot of those milestones. Yes.
Got you. So when you say postpartum, can you break down what does postpartum mean?
Thank you for asking that. That is so if you Google postpartum, it doesn't talk about postpartum as far as a time period. It talks about depression and anxiety because when we hear
Oh.
postpartum, that's what we think of. But postpartum is actually what we call the fourth trimester. So you're pregnant
Mm.
for 3 trimesters and then you're postpartum for your fourth. So it's technically labeled the first 3 months after having a baby.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we've got to work on the postpartum part because a lot of people immediately think it's all about mental health.
Uh-huh.
And even though that is one of the most important parts, it is definitely more than that.
Got it. I heard that dads can also come to this event.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Dads, they, for whatever reason, feel like they are not part of this. And
Mm.
so that is something that I experienced with my own husband and feeling like he couldn't really find his place. And we had been married a while, but it kind of took us all by surprise, this whole like
Mhm.
parenthood thing. And so I knew when I was starting this immediately that I would have an opening speaker who was a dad to speak directly to dads and partners, to let them know that they belong in this space. It is not just for moms. Dads go through postpartum depression and anxiety. Nobody talks
Wow.
about that. Dads go through a big change. It's an emotional load. And a lot of times they feel lost. And
Mm.
so that will never change. I will always have a dad speaker speaking straight to the dads. So, yes, I do want dads here. It is not required, but if they get to hear from these speakers and they get to be loved on, I
Mhm.
just think that that goes a long way.
That is so powerful because even I literally never really considered that dads might also be
Yeah.
experiencing postpartum effect.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have such a warm community that
Mhm.
is holistic in the sense that you're not just here to support moms and the
Yeah.
babies, but you're here to support the whole family.
Absolutely.
I think that is really, really powerful.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate that.
tell me how you got started with this workshop. What was the impetus for you starting this postpartum workshop?
Yeah, I started first as a birth educator. So at 5 months postpartum, I decided that I was going all in this birth space. And because I had a new baby, and at the time it was COVID,
Mhm.
and so we were all just at home, I decided to just be an educator. So that was a predictable schedule. It was one day a week at a birth center. It seemed manageable. A year into that, I just realized that we're missing it. Like, we are so
Mm.
focused on birth, which, don't get me wrong, very important. But the way I like to say it is, birth is going to birth. Like, we can prepare, we can educate, and we should, but postpartum lasts a lot longer. We're
Mhm.
talking like a couple of years.
Yeah.
It isn't just right after you have a baby, it's life
Mhm.
changing, it's
Yeah.
transformative. And so I just felt really bad. We would have reunions. I do reunions with all my classes. So
Mhm.
we get together, I bring cake, they bring babies and birth stories, and we just
Wow.
process
Mhm.
stories together. And of course, they look like wounded, like they have come from battle. And I
Oh.
wasn't there to support them. And that was really heavy. It was hard for me to be like, I wish I would have known. I wish I
Yeah.
could have been there. I wish I could have sent you someone to your home to help make meals
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. And so I probably daydreamed for about a year and was like, what do we do? Like, how do
Mhm.
we do this? And then I was like, all right, I'm going to pitch it to this midwife that I work with,
Yeah.
see what she thinks. And at the time, it was me saying, let's have it at the birth center. Let's bring in some very basic, like 3 speakers, a few couples,
Mhm.
something very small. Um, so I finally had the bravery to do that, and then pitched it to a couple Facebook groups. And in my little world, it like went viral. Like, it was crazy. I
Wow.
had 80 interviews in the first
Wow.
year
Oh my
of
gosh.
people wanting to speak or be a part of it or
Mhm.
put stuff in swag bags. And
Yeah.
so it all came together with the idea of the community, because I had a very small thing in mind, and the whole
Mhm.
community was like, this is what we want to do. And so here we are, year 4, and it's a movement. It
Yeah.
feels like a movement and changing the narrative. So that's how this whole thing started. Um, but it is impossible without people that have the same heart, the
For sure.
alignment for these parents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is year 4.
year 4.
And coming into year 4,
Yeah.
you are really doing a lot of new things, different things
Yes.
for this year's
Mhm.
workshop series. Um, if we can kind of think back on the previous workshops that you've had so far,
Yes.
has there been like a singular moment, something that just continues to be embedded in your
Hmm.
mind of like, this is why I'm doing this?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. I always think of 2 people that have attended the workshop,
Mhm.
and they've shared stories with me, and they have been very impactful. It's really the things that I cling to. Like, we talked about the
Yeah.
stress of big events like this,
Mhm.
and I think of them. So, one is a barista who was working the event.
Mhm.
It was my first one. I was just as surprised as everybody else for it to be happening. It was this, like, I was supposed to be at a birth center, and now I'm at this venue, and I've got vendors. It was such a surreal experience. And this barista, actually 2 baristas, came up during our lunch break and were crying
Mm.
and just wanted to come talk to me. So I was like, yeah, like, are you okay? What's going on?
Uh-huh.
And I'll get emotional thinking about it, but she was like, I want to be a mom so bad,
Mm.
but I'm terrified. Like, I am terrified,
Mhm.
and I'm not scared anymore. And she just sobbed on my shoulder. I have my whole body's in chill. She just cried on my shoulder, and she was
Oh,
like, everybody talks about motherhood as an awful thing.
yeah.
Your life is over, your marriage is over, your body's
Oh.
wrecked forever.
Mhm.
Nobody had ever spoken to her about motherhood in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, she was in this room. She felt it tangibly. She felt
Mhm.
this, like, joy, and
Wow.
that was so eye-opening. And so
Mhm.
I think of that barista
Yeah.
often, and
Wow.
I think, I might take it for granted because I'm in the birth space.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
empowering moms right and left. It's just what we
Right.
do.
Uh-huh.
but that's not how it is for everybody. So
I think that's especially true in today's culture,
yeah.
like present day.
Mm,
There is, I feel, so much, not stigma, but there is so much conversation
yeah.
around healthy motherhood and what
Yes.
motherhood looks like. And everyone has an opinion
Mhm.
on what it should look like, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So I
Yes.
feel like there's so much pressure on moms and families nowadays um, when it comes to how they live out motherhood. So
Yes.
I love hearing that story. That's really beautiful.
Mhm.
Coming into this year, what are you most looking forward to at this year's workshop?
It's our first time to do 2. So we're doing 2 workshops in 1 weekend, and I've never done that before. I've wanted to.
Hmm.
It has been spoken over me
Hmm.
many times, like, "This needs to be a weekend."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, great, step in." Like, I don't know what to do. And so I'm excited to see how that goes. I'm excited to be able to offer so much more because we've been doing just 1 day,
Hmm.
and you can only have so many speakers and so many, like, sessions in 1 day. So the fact that we get to do 2 completely different workshops in 1 weekend
Yeah.
and offering that as like, you may not have the stamina for 2 days. Like, you can pick one and
Yeah.
you can know like the speakers and like kind of the topics we're covering,
Mhm.
or you can do both. And so I think it's really cool to be able to do that. So I am looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to this new venue. We are
Yay.
so excited to be here, and it feels like
Yeah.
finally we're here. Like, we've
Mhm.
been existing in a space that really worked, but not allowing for growth.
Got you.
And I think doing this has made me just step out and embrace that.
Yeah.
So
It feels
yeah,
kind of official.
it does feel official. Yeah, it does, because it's been like, yeah, that's a perfect way to say it. It's
Mhm.
been, I have kept myself small. That's where I'm
Yeah.
comfortable, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I've been processing that this past year
Mhm.
and allowing myself to have a staged, like, almost figuratively and literally being like,
Yeah.
let's step into this. Like,
Mhm.
this is your calling.
Yes.
And there is a mindset of like, but what if it doesn't work out? Well, here we are,
Yeah.
year 4, and
It's
just
gonna
letting it,
happen one way or another,
yes,
and you might as well just
embrace it.
embrace it.
I
Yeah.
agree. Thanks.
Okay. So, what for all of the people that are attending or
Yeah.
thinking of attending, what are 2 must not miss, cannot miss things
Ooh.
that will be happening this week that weekend?
Oh my goodness, just 2. Okay, let me think. Okay, I just have to say the swag bags.
Okay.
I I don't do the swag bags. Like, I send out this idea to everybody involved. Like, if you wanna provide something extra
Mhm.
special for mom and dad, this is your opportunity,
Yeah.
and they come through.
Okay.
So, those swag bags are, it's a gift. It
Yeah.
isn't, you're not gonna find, like, a koozie and a keychain. You're gonna
Mm.
find under eye mask and tea and,
Ooh.
some really just sweet and pampering things.
Okay.
And I think swag bag is, like, almost like, not, it's not a good enough title. It's just there, it's
Sure.
a gift. And we had talked about, like, having, the VIPs get swag bags. I'm
Mhm.
like, "No, these swag bags, like, this is for everybody."
Yeah.
So honestly, I know that sounds so small, but it's a really sweet, it's a sweet gift for mom, you
I
know?
it's they're thoughtful.
They're
Yeah.
very thoughtful, and it's put together by moms for the most part. It's people that are like, "Ooh, them eye patches?" Like, it's people that get it,
Yeah.
and they're really not, like, half-hearted by any means.
Yeah.
Like, they're wanting to love on these parents, and so that's really cool.
Ah, you hear
Um,
that? We are
yeah.
not looking for any more koozies, please.
Yeah, no, these swag bags are amazing. And then I would say the branded expert sessions are gonna be really special. This is new.
Mhm.
This is a different thing that we're doing because feedback from the last 3 years,
Uh-huh.
all surveys have been like more intimate sessions,
Mhm.
more one-on-one time, more small groups. And so we listened. We've cut down our key speakers. We used to have about 7 each day, or I'm sorry, each year.
Mhm.
And so now it's been really interesting to shift that. So these
Mhm.
sessions, we're diving deep. We're talking about nourishment, we're talking about sleep, We're talking about stress. We're talking about baby massage.
Wow.
And that's just one day, like there's two completely different days and two completely different sessions.
So lots of great activities
So
and
many activities.
hands-on
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that people can actually walk away with feeling
Yes.
like, okay, this is something new that I've learned, and this is something that I can practically use
Yes.
once baby is here.
Absolutely. I think I talked to someone yesterday about like practical things that they can do to de-stress and knowing
Mm,
how they manage stress. And I was like, gosh, that's like pivotal, foundational
yep.
for postpartum mom
Mhm.
is like, okay, how do I chill myself out?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those would be the two that I would list.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, you're getting me really excited about this workshop now, and hearing all of these great things that are gonna be happening is really just making me
Mhm.
can't wait for it
I'm
to finally
excited.
be here.
Yeah.
So, give us some information on the
Yeah.
actual workshop, how people can attend.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The workshop is here at LaunchBox. It is on June 6th and 7th. You are not required to attend both days. You can pick and choose. We still have availability for registration, and you can sign up at lovetomama.com.
Awesome.
Yes.
Shelby, thank you so much for being here
Yeah.
today.
Thanks for having me.
I am so happy that we can host your event here
Yeah.
at LaunchBox, and can't wait for the actual day.
Thank you. Thanks so
Yay.
much.